Hey everyone, my name is Michael, and I'm going to tell you why you should get a BRZ FRS or 86 chassis. Now, if you're already on the fence about one, you've been thinking about getting it, get it. Short answer, get it. Of course, you can watch the video to see why I think you should get one, but 100% go out, get one, and at least try it for just a little bit. Even if you're going to return it or just like wasn't fit your taste, don't let other people tell you what they judge of the car when they don't even own one. Get one. You won't regret it. Now, if you're coming from Instagram, you know me as BRZ, and I really appreciate you guys coming over and watching my first video. Or if you're from around the area, you'll know me as Michael BRZ. It's like the one thing people know me for in the area, like unfortunately. Wish there was something better people knew me for. But I own a turbocharged wide-body 2013 BRZ, and I've had this car for just a little bit over 2 years now, and I have had the time of my life with this car. Now, the first part of this video is just going to be me and my experience, kind of how I got into cars, how I bought this car, and how I ended up modifying it myself. And if you want to skip that, perfectly fine. Hopefully I'll put a timestamp somewhere that'll be like the actual review why you should get this car. But let's get into it. So this is my incredibly dirty turbo BRZ, and let me just tell you just a little bit about how I got into cars. Now, when I was younger, I watched my dad kind of toy around with cars. His era was way before mine, so he was into cars, way before I was born, unfortunately. So I never had the time to really build a car with him when I was younger. But he'd always talk about how he really enjoyed cars, how the first car he owned and rebuilt completely was a '65 fastback Mustang that he bought from his grandmother. And then the first car he bought when he was my age, the exact same age that I bought the BRZ, which is my first car at, was a '92 hatchback Fox body, which, if you've seen those cars, I think they're absolutely beautiful. Some people have different tastes, that's them. But I talked about them with cars all the time, and it never really clicked for me. I just never really enjoyed the idea of like why a car is something to go from here to here, not like something you should spend money in and make it look cool, whatever. That's why you buy like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. They're already really cool looking, whatever. So come around to when I'm a teenager, I'm getting a little older, and I kind of start looking into cars. They kind of interest me, and the first car I stumbled upon as a 16-year-old would is a WRX STI, and I actually fell in love with the car. I don't know why I fell in love with that car, but I just did, and I still am in love with it, and I really hope to own one day. So I did a little bit more research, and I never really put too much thought into it. 2 years later, I'm 18, COVID hits, and I need something to do. I don't have anything to do, and I'm sitting at my house doing nothing other than like working out at my house because all the gyms are closed. And I'm like, why don't I just look up the WRX STI some more? Just get a little bit more facts about it. Maybe I could own that car. Just to have something super fun and not nothing too crazy. So come to find out, I'm looking and I find something called a Subaru BRZ. I'm like, what's this? Subaru made a coupe? And I'm like, man, the body style looks like a really nice sports car. So it's got to be super expensive. So I ended up looking at the price point, and it's like affordable. Affordable for a car that looks like this? In my opinion, the car looks amazing. So I'm like, this is something So I look up into it, and first thing I see is the BRZ is underpowered. It's slow. It has torque dip. All this BS about it, and I'm like, the BS is true. Of course, it is. Not very fast stock. It does have torque dip. It does have torque dip stock. I'm gonna leave that in the video. And I just fell in love with the car. I want something like this. I don't care about the speed. I like how it looks. I can make it fast if I want to. You can make any car fast if you want to with enough money. So I did a little bit more research, and here I am, a kid who has no mechanical experience at all. I barely know how to change my oil. I barely know how to change a tire. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy this car. I'm gonna modify it. So I'm saving up at work, continuing, and then boom, one day I see an FRS for sale. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll just go and buy this FRS. Dealer sells it out from under us, whatever. So we go to another lot, and they have a absolutely beautiful 2019 Performance Package 5.0. 6-speed manual, 4,000 miles, they wanted $31,000 for it. And I'm like, man, this thing is absolutely gorgeous. I'm like, I don't really have that much for a down payment, and my payments would be like $500, $600 a month. So I'm like, then we saw a BRZ for sale. Like, let's go look at the BRZ. Fell in love with the BRZ. I'm like, I don't care about speed. I really don't. I love the BRZ, and bought it that day. And they're like, we need to take it to the shop. We need to make sure all the stuff in the contract that you signed with and ended up paying for. I ended up going to the car, new battery. They fixed the electric power steering. I'm like, okay, cool. They're like, it's gonna take a week. I'm like, man, a week? I really want this car now. Next day comes, they call us, everything's ready. Cool, go drive to the dealership, and I can't drive at home. I have no idea how to drive manual. So Dad, who's always driven manual cars when he was younger, drives the car home, and I learned that day. Stalled out maybe a few times in traffic, but as the weeks come on, I progressively get more and more, I get better at driving manual. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, I want it to be a little louder. I want it to be noticeable. And this is where we get into how I first started modding the car. So the first mod I put on my car was my Greddy Revolution RS catback, which is a single exit titanium catback that is really, really affordable. Especially for somebody like me, who I have, an okay job. I'm 18, 19, or not, I'm 18 at this point still. And I'm like, well, I kind of want something to make my car more noticeable, more loud, just something a little bit, as a teenager would. And I bought the catback and I had no idea what I was doing at all. Like, I barely had mechanical experience. I knew how to turn a ratchet. I knew which way, righty tighty, lefty loosey. But I'm like, okay, let's just try taking stuff off and see if it works. So I saw that it went from the, muffler to the mid pipe and then connect to the front pipe. So I took the mid pipe and the muffler off, and getting the muffler out of the exhaust hangers with no experience is funny. It took me a while, and it took me a lot longer than I actually should have, which is, but we all learn. So I put it on, started it up, and man, did it just sound amazing. It was not raspy, it was deep, it wasn't too crazy loud, and I'm like, I want louder. So if you know anything about the BRZ FRSs, they have a front pipe right after the mid pipe, and then an over pipe which comes over the subframe to the header. So the front pipe, I learned had a catalytic converter in it, and it's like a sound deadener. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take that out, I want more sound. So I put a NVIDIA catless front pipe in, and I made a big mistake. That's when all the rasp came out of the exhaust. After 4 or 5k RPM, it would just sound like a VQ to the end of the day. And I'm like, this has got to change. So how I thought I would change that is with Tomei unequal length headers, catless. Safe to say that didn't help it at all. It just made it worse and louder. But I had no idea at that point. I'm so inexperienced, so I'm just, okay, we go with the flow. And then I actually started getting into a lot more of the fundamentals, more of the mechanical side of videos that I could watch, and something I can just learn from. Not even just like, oh, how to install this part, just more like how cars work, how the in-depth cars work, how to rebuild an engine, because it's a Subaru, and I'm on the stigma of it's gonna blow real soon. So after I got the headers, I got tuned shortly afterwards. I was tuned by Delicious Tuning. I got the Stage 2 tune because I ended up getting a Grinspeed cold air intake box with the headers around the same time, just so I can throw those in and they get tuned, so I wouldn't have to get retuned for a cold air intake. So I got tuned and the car woke up. Definitely woke up a bit more. Torqued it, almost basically disappeared completely, and it revved out a little higher. I fell in love with the car all over again. I didn't need anything to be crazy fast. It wasn't a Mustang, it wasn't a Camaro, it wasn't a BMW. It was just something that I could have fun with. Somebody my age could have fun with. So along with the added, a little bit of power was a pops and bangs, and let me tell you, I realized how obnoxious I was as a person, because everywhere I drive, I would just boom, 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 all the time. And I mean, I still do that now, but I definitely do it a lot less more than I used to. But it was starting to become something I really, really enjoyed. After that, I was like, okay, I've done a little bit too much, not too much, but I've done a lot of performance for what these cars usually have for people. So I'm like, let's try with appearance. So I got BC Racing coilovers because they're affordable and they're decent. And I also got a set of wheels. And when I got the car lowered on some wheels, this car was beautiful. And I was like, I can't believe I bought a car this beautiful at my age for this much. So I didn't touch the car for a decent amount of time. So I bought those of April of 2021, and then I didn't touch it for a whole year. So January of 2022, I'm like, I want more power. So I don't have enough for a turbo kit, so just throw it on flex fuel. I bought injectors, I bought a fuel pump, and I bought a flex fuel kit, all from Delicious Tuning, and got retuned for ethanol. And it got quicker. High compression engines love ethanol, and thankfully the Subaru BRZ FRS 86 are all high compression boxers. So 85 did a lot for the car NA, more so than it usually would for an NA car. Still wasn't, fast, but it was quicker, and I really, really enjoyed it, and still surprised a lot of people with it. So I wanted to save up a little more, found the wide body kit for a decent price secondhand, and that's when a really, really massive learning curve happens. I did the bodywork myself, I did the paint myself, and it was a nightmare because I had no idea what I was doing. I had my dad in the background who I would go to work and he would actually work on the wide body, installing it for me, doing some of the body work while I was at work. And then I'd come home, I'd be a little, like, why'd you do it when I'm not here? I kind of want to learn. But it was a really nice, like, father-son bonding experience. I really appreciated him just, like, helping me without me even asking. So we got the body work done. It came out a lot better than the panels actually were. So we got it done, got everything prepped, we got it primed, we got it painted, we got it cleared, and I pulled it out the garage and like, man, it's a spaceship. Oh my gosh, the wheels were so tucked in because of the added 2 inches of body we had on it. So I ordered spacers, put them on. That's what I have on them right now. I want to move to actual offset wheels so I don't have to run spacers in the rear as big as they are. Never had a problem, so thankfully. But I just fell in love with the car once again. The appearance looked amazing. It was like part of like the dream I had when I first bought this car. I'm like, I'm gonna turbo it, I'm gonna wide body it, I'm gonna do all these things to it, and I had like a quarter, if not half, of what I wanted. I wanted it done. I had it done. I had it wide bodied. I had it what you considered, full bolt on. I didn't have the manifold, but it was pretty dang close. So I had all of that, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just save up a little more. I want to save up a little more. I want to pull the engine out, rebuild it before I go turbo. And I came across the turbo kit secondhand for a really cheap price in a really good condition. Now, it is a Speed by Design turbo kit, which if you're part of the FRS 86 BRZ community, they aren't the craziest quality. They're okay, but they're not amazing. The go-to is the JDL kit because the quality's better and they can be external wastegate, while the turbo for the JDL kit, the Speed by Design kit is internal wastegate, which I'm not a big fan of. But I installed the turbo kit by myself, no help from anybody, no YouTube, no dad, no friends, nothing. I installed everything by myself. Got it tuned by a completely different tuner, by DB Tuned from Hawaii, through Ecutech. And let me tell you, I didn't think I could love this car anymore until I turboed it. Now, it wasn't crazy fast, doing our data logs, trying to get everything situated, but it was fun. The noises it made, how amazing, it was quick. And it was quick. A few weeks down the line, I'm loving this car. I set up a race illegal in a really nice, enclosed, race-friendly area with my friend who owns a 2017 1LE SS. I have never been so excited to lose a race in my life, but when I tell you close, it was him, me on his bumper. And I have the video of that one too. And then we ended up racing, more recently, and it was a dead tie. And I can't tell you how crazy that is to have a BRZ with I didn't get dynos, so it's 280, 300, I believe, horsepower, to come up with a car that's, near mid fours, could be in the 5 range. His isn't, but Camaros can be. It was wild to me. And you hear that BRZs are slow, BRZs are this, but this car with a turbo is a whole different level of sauce. And people just don't realize that. And I'm gonna show people what a turbo BRZ can really do, because this is gonna be the main build of the channel when I get, when I have the money for it, or when I have any of the space to do and pull the engine, which I want to do. I want to pull the engine, and I want to show you guys how to rebuild an F820 or just a boxer engine in general, because it's a little bit different than how a lot of other engines are built, and I think it's really cool. And I actually learned how to rebuild an engine by myself. I didn't go to school for this type of stuff. I just learned everything myself. And everything I've done on the car, all the faults I've had on the car, all the car problems I've had, were because of me. It wasn't the car just dying out one day because of just some random issue. Every problem this car has had has been my fault. So enough rambling about, my experience with cars, how I got my BRZ and how I modded it. Should you buy a BRZ FRS or 86? Yes. You're going to hear a lot of the issues are they burn oil really quick, they have really loud valve tick in the 2013, 2016 years, the 2013 to 2016 years. Oh, they have really bad torque dip, they're slow, or their ringlings go out, or they blow really easy, they're no EJ25. Let me tell you, there is truth to every exaggeration, but they are exaggerations nonetheless. I am at 129,000 miles, stock engine on this car. I have run low oil on this car. I have absolutely money shifted my car 4 times at full boost and the car is perfectly fine. Well, I wouldn't say perfectly, it's aging. It's 129,000 miles, and I beat this car daily. I beat this car to death. Anybody who knows me, all my friends, people in the area know I absolutely abuse this car here, there, and everywhere. Everywhere this car gets abused. But I also take care of the car. A lot of the stuff you just have to do with preventative maintenance. Change your oil. Make sure your diff fluid is good. Make sure your trans fluid is good. Make sure you have coolant in the car. That's really, really important. Make sure if it leaks out, you have more coolant. The sprinkler's turned on. It's so much easy stuff that people just forget. The car blows and like, oh, this car is bad. No, you're bad. You're a bad owner. Like, of course, sometimes a car just might blow because it was made faulty. But in reality, most of the problems that people have are just from the owner, and they just don't want to admit that. I'll admit that firsthand. All the problems I've had with this car are from me. When I absolutely melted the throwout bearing, that was from me. When I, lost oil pressure and burnt a turbo line 3 times, that was me. I should have set it up better. I learned from, after 3 times, but you learn from your mistakes and you do better. And people just want to just blame the car because it's easier to blame the car than blame themselves that, oh, I just didn't do the maintenance on it. But now I'm running a little bit low on light here, so I'm just gonna wrap this up. Yeah, if you want the car, get the car. If you want a fun car, get the car. If you want a car that could look good, get the car. If you want something to learn on, get this car. I mean, the fun I've had with it, the enjoyment I've really, really got out of it, I mean, this car is amazing to me. It was my first car, and I couldn't have made a better decision than getting this car. Now, it's a little bit late. I'm gonna try get a little bit of a little rev clips, a little drive-by. I'll try and shoot a flame. We'll see. So, let's get some. Thank you everybody for tuning in and watching my first video. If you're from Instagram, I really appreciate you. If you just found me on YouTube trying to see if you want a FRS BRZ or 86, I really appreciate you too. Thank you everybody for watching my first video. Sorry if it's a little bit ranty, I'm just really passionate about this car. And I mean, if you want to follow the build, follow just anything I buy, any future cars I want to build, please subscribe. And if you know anybody who wants an FRS BRZ or 86 and is kind of on the fence about it, please send this video to them. I guarantee you, if you tell them to get this car and you convince them to get this car, or if I convinced you to get this car, you're not going to regret it. You really won't. This car is absolutely amazing. I love this car. I have always loved this car. Sure, it's given me a bit of grief here and there, but I really, really have enjoyed this car, 9 times out of 10. The one time being when it was down and I couldn't drive it. But thank you so much, everybody. And if there's one point I want to reiterate is, if I can do this with no mechanical experience and do even more in the future, you can too. Work on the car, go ahead and do it. Motivation for today is what you want to do, work on the car, go do it. There is no better time to take it than now. Thank you everybody, I appreciate y'all.